and I geek out about the latest AI developments without getting too scientific. We want to be your spot for AI insights that actually matter. So grab a coffee, tune in, and let's chat about why AI isn't the job-stealing monster that everyone thinks it is.
And we're back. Welcome everyone to another recording of the AI Academics. Hi, Wooger.
Welcome. Hey, Leonard. Hey, Leonard.
Yeah, what an exciting week in terms of AI developments we've had. Lots of stuff happened. I just opened up Gemini to see a box of presents for me. And of course, we've seen DeepSeek and we've seen Quen and some other models come from China. So it's a little bit more of a democratization almost that we're seeing of some of these AI models. So yeah, really quite a cool time to be doing some of that stuff. So let me just see if we can, nope, that is not it. If we can move to a screen, there we go. We want that screen in center. How do I do that? Maximize, here we go. Perfect. Now we just gotta somehow get us in there. Haha.
Yes.
There we are. Okay, so this was the Quen model, and yeah, stuck in a referencing error. So we won't really talk about that today. We can talk about that some other time. But for now, I think some of the big talk in town is DeepSeek, of course, a model that's coming from China, which is also quite exciting just in terms of not all of the AI stuff is now sitting with OpenAI anymore. OpenAI being kind of challenged here a little bit with the reasoning models, because what you might know from OpenAI is that they had that O1 model until last week, where they introduced O3 and O3 Mini High, or O3 Mini and O3 Mini High, faster models that are equally good at reasoning. Of course, the competition now is not reasoning anymore, because DeepSeek does similarly good reasoning to O1. But the competition that we have here now is that we're getting to the point of speed where everything becomes speed. And you'll see that with the Gemini stuff that we'll show as well, that speed is really super important here. And that's really the thing. I also splurged a little bit and got O1 Pro mode. O1 Pro mode is pretty much a similar setup. It just takes a longer while to do the thinking, and it can do like complex thinking problems. I had, if I can still find that, it is gone now. No, rainforest shader, that was actually kind of cool. I should show you this. So you can actually ask the mini models to do, like, here I wanted a visually interesting shader to run in trickle.app. So if we just open that Trickle app, and if, as you can see, this is a shader app, so this lets you like visualize shaders. This was a tip I got from Ethan Mollick on Twitter, who's like, oh, this is like a really nice thing to check the coding capabilities of the model. So what I did is I asked it to craft a vibrant shader, which it did. So if we copy that code and we put it in the shader app and we put it here, let it run, and we can see this is pretty dark, nothing's running. So I was like, okay, this isn't really great. This didn't work. Can you please fix it? It went back in there, fixed it, and then we actually had a little bit of a shader. So we saw a little bit of that. That wasn't very exciting though yet. So I'm like, okay, make it even more interesting. This isn't really the excitement I was looking for. So if we copy and paste that code in here, we can now see it added a little bit of interestingness. But it still had a hard time becoming really, really interesting. Now, the interesting thing, I think, here is if I copy and paste that same prompt and I go to Claude, and many people are like, okay, so, you know, how's Claude doing these days with all these models being so super advanced? And the thing actually is with Claude is that in terms of coding, I think 3.5 Sonnet is still the best when it comes to coding. For some reason, even the artifacts that we get are just really, really good. So if, now, let's see if I'm wrong or not. If I just copy and paste that in here, throw that in there. And there's definitely more going on. There's more noise here. There's a little bit more dispersion. So this is maybe not the best. But if I ask O3 to make this even more, make it more juicy. Now this is O3 high. So O3 high is the one that, or O3 mini high is the one that,
yes,
when it comes to some of the coding and development. And as you can see, the nice thing about Claude is always that it has that little artifact going that you can just kind of see the code that's being output. But then you'd still need, like for shaders, for example, you still need an app to kind of make it run.
exactly.
Now, in terms of ChatGPT, it doesn't have the artifacts, right? So that's one of the downsides. I'm sure that'll come because we have Canvas and this other stuff that we can access here. But we don't really have something to run things like that. So copy and paste that in here and see what it does. And yeah, there's a little bit more of a twirl.
Yes.
You can see like there's little light bubbles, little raindrops or whatever coming by. So it is definitely you something that I would say is quite interesting. So, you know, O3 Mini, when it comes to creating some code, is quite cool. And of course, we could also take this and then see what DeepSeek does and just kind of test the coding capabilities here. Now, one of the things I really like about DeepSeek, and you let me know what you think about that, is how it talks you through the process, right? Like I'm a user experience guy, so from a user experience perspective, this is really kind of cool to see the model explain to itself. This is what the user wants me to do.
Exactly.
Right? So you kind of see the thought process, which is nice. And then, of course, you get the code window and everything, just like you would expect from any of the AI models, just giving you code that is hopefully working. But you can see it forked it. So clearly, it knows exactly what the target app is. So it knows it needs to go into the Twiggle app. But yeah, if you know a little bit about shaders, we can try the same thing here. Make it juicier. This is just noise. So my experience is, in terms of capabilities of Claude, that Claude will take instructions quite well. And with 3 or 4 reprompts, the code that you get in Claude actually will be better. And of course, we did mention Windsurf and Cursor and some of these coding apps in the last podcast episode. And combined with what you can get out of Sonnet, this is really, I think, quite impressive what we can have there. And yeah, we can see some things happening, but it didn't make it much more interesting. It's still like kind of like the bottom. Now you'd have to see how it actually looks like when it's mapped on a 3D model, if it's any better. Let's go to DeepSeek, and let's just see how DeepSeek fares. We'll copy this shader, put it in here, and see. Oh, DeepSeek has an error. So okay, so in our quick little challenge test here, O3 Mini High definitely delivered the best results in the shortest period of time. So O3 Mini High seems, when it comes to, because shaders are basically advanced mathematics. So when it comes to some of those advanced mathematics calculations, it's pretty good. Claude, against more utility driven. So I guess, if I knew exactly what I was looking for, I could probably prompt it until it gets there. And DeepSeek attempted, but couldn't really get there. So in this case, I would probably just feed it the error that I'm getting here, copy that error and put that in DeepSeek, and then just kind of hope eventually it figures it out. Yeah, so hopefully if it gets those errors, it eventually comes around. So that's, I think, the interesting thing when it comes to kind of building apps or like coding interesting things. I think that's a lot of application potential that people are looking at. But for us as academics, of course, the thing that we're always looking at is also like reasoning and structuring things and getting through some more advanced writing tasks. And for that, you can, of course, use some of the higher models. You could use O1 Pro. You could use O3 Mini. But I did want to highlight, so a couple of things that came about with the new updates in OpenAI was you could go to customize, and now you can put in a name. So I could be Buddy. And then what do you do? And then I could be like PhD student. if I wanted output that's specific for PhD students, or I could be like assistant professor if I want my output more targeted at assistant professors. In my case, I'd be professor, or senior PI. And then you could add some traits. In this case, I just kind of told it all of the crappy words to avoid. But it's kind of neat because you can put something in here as a trait. So if we go here, we could just say academic is a trait that it should have, but now it's going to run out of things. It's going to run out of space because it has all of my no-go words in there, because I've kind of forbidden it to use so many different words here, which I don't think it always follows. Anyways, so you can keep that in there. Anything else, again, just some more word advice here. And then you can click on and off whether it uses some of these extensions for it. And then it just enables it for new chats. So let's get started with a new chat here. And let's use the O3 mini model, because I think that's the one that most people have available for free. Hit deep research. And this is really kind of cool because the deep research model, Vugar, I don't think you've tested it yet, right?
No, not yet. Not from ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is new. Of course, those of you that have been following us know that we've also used Gemini in the past, and of course, Gemini has had a deep research since the 1.5 Pro version, and it can do deep research here as well. So in theory, if we wanted to have them go head to head, which we're going to do right now, we're going to see if they can do the same thing. So what happens with ChatGPT 3.0 Mini, if we ask it a task such as research, right? Because we wanted to do some research at the beginning, and you can see it already tries to give you some suggestions here. So Vugar, what would be a thing that you would research for one of your academic papers? Research migration laws in
yeah, like usually it is one of the famous topics. Is what is I use it a lot in my YouTube videos. Like, what is the impact of climate change on global migration?
Oh, research the impact of climate change
on
global migration.
Migration, yeah.
Only most recent academic journal references. Okay, limit that a little bit. I'm going to put it in here too. So once we run this in the deep research mode, deep research is built in a way that will always ask us a follow-up question before it starts. In a similar way, when we hit it in Gemini on the right-hand side here, it will also think about it and create a little research plan, as you see, which I actually really like about the Google version here, that you get the research plan and it just says, you know, this is the kind of websites that I'm doing and so forth. The thing is, if you don't hit start research, I actually did that in a recent demonstration, it will do nothing. It will just sit there.
Yes.
In the same way, ChatGPT actually provides the output, but then it always asks you follow-up questions to clarify, because it wants to do very specific things. So here, to provide the most relevant and up-to-date academic research on the impact of climate change, could you clarify, do you have a specific time range for most recent? And we're going to say RE1, yes, the last 5 years.
Yes.
Actually, let's say the last 10 years, right?
Yes.
Research can take a little longer. Are you interested in a particular geographic region, or should I cover global trends?
Global trends, let's say.
Global,
yeah.
okay.
Let's say.
So we're going to do R2 is global trends, please. You don't need to say please, but I like to appease our AI.
And maybe here we can say sea level rise, yes.
Thank you. And then would you like to focus on specific factors? Sea level, desertification, extreme weather events? Sea level? Or
maybe all of them, because maybe it's not that much articles available only for the sea level.
No specific factors. Take everything into account. Let's see what it prioritizes by itself. And then we'll do 4. Do you prefer quantitative studies, policy analysis, or a mix of research approaches? I guess mix, no? Like
synthesize all of
research approaches. Synthesize all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the 5th question was, would you like open access sources, or are you able to access paywall journals?
let's say open access this time, because I am not sure if
just open. We can, so it will pull the abstract from paywalled research, right? So, but it won't be able to access it itself. But if you want it to be more comprehensive, I would just say everything. But
with this deep research, can you upload also PDFs there? No.
You can't. So actually, you can, but it all depends on the model that you use. So I think O3 Mini and O1 don't, like the reasoning models don't let you use PDFs. You got to use the GPT-4o model to do the PDFs. But you could still do research with GPT-4o and upload a PDF. So that would be fine. Exactly. And then you could just do that. So here I would say
and
consider everything, but focus on open access maybe.
I tested it. I think that would be a huge upgrade when OpenAI announced that they allowed uploading documents.
Yeah, well, they do, but not for the reasoning stuff. So that
I mean for the reasoning.
Yeah, for the reasoning it'd be nice. So this will go about for the next 4 to 5 minutes and just kind of do its research. In the same way here, most recent academic references, find academic journals. That sounds good. Look for articles published in the last 2 years. So here we could also edit the plan. So here then, if you want to edit it, it's the same thing as what O3 did. It just asks us what we want to edit, and then we just input it. So 1, academic journals. That sounds good. No edits there. Maybe academic journals, prefer academic journals focused on law, right? Because that's your area. So we're going to focus on that. And then look for articles published in the last 10 years. Include the last 10 years in your research. And then summarize the findings of the articles, include relevant statistics and data. That's fine. Find any international agreements on policies related to climate change and migration. So that sounds good too. Find organizations that are working to address the issue of climate change and migration. Also,
that's also, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll keep it that. We just do the 2 changes that we have there. Now it will update the research plan and present it back to us. You can see climate change. So it didn't really, my law thing, it didn't really add that. Whatever, we're just going to hit start research. It did. And then it begins starting its research. And it's really nice because compared to, so here's the joke that I like to tell people when I talk about OpenAI. Like OpenAI couldn't be more closed than these days. Like it's such a joke, this name. So yeah, OpenAI, you'll get your progress bar and whatnot. Like even like if you compare to what you see with DeepSeek, DeepSeek is busy. This is another thing. DeepSeek, because it's free, like you constantly run into these things about server being busy, which is annoying because then you got to regenerate. But you got to give it to DeepSeek that you always have these little, okay, I'll let you know exactly what I'm doing, right? So this is funny coming from a Chinese company, super open, couldn't be more open than it is what we're seeing here. OpenAI, on the other hand, charges you an arm and a leg for this, and then it just gives you sort of a black box of here's the progress of what we're doing. Even Google lets you know a little bit of what's happening because we can just look into the box here. It says currently it's researching 25 websites, started with a Google search. Now it's trying to pick out the websites of the journals that it can access. And then we get like all of these links that it can access in terms of the journals, which is really kind of cool. Okay, so we're getting all of that stuff, which is nice. And then we can kind of see it happen. And time-wise, you can see Google is at 25 websites, whereas right now, if we're checking ChatGPT, which started a little bit earlier, the deep research, is at 11 sources now. So maybe just because it vets the sources more and there's internal cycles that it goes through some checking. That's why it limits it a little bit. I don't know, but this is interesting because just to give you a quick comparison with Consensus, one of our favorite little apps that we talk about in our webinar. Actually, let's pop that up on screen because why not? So up here you can see it. I'll just put it on the other corner there. But if you're interested in that, we have a webinar where we teach AI research tools. I'm just going to leave it up here if anyone wants to check it out. It's kind of a neat way to learn some of this stuff. So anyways, here, if we click on this and we ask a similar question, now it will not do the research. Oh, wow. Okay, DeepSeek, I'm going to just keep retrying. If we go back here and we ask a similar question, but here we just ask a question. So we wouldn't even need to say that. We just ask, what's the impact? So if we went to something like consensus, now consensus is specialized in finding research sources, right? So here we just ask, what's the, let's do these, what's the impact of climate change on global migration? And it's super fast. And here in the filters, you could also say, okay, the last 10 years would be since let's just say 2015 to be quick. And we could also say we don't want any preprints. We don't want to limit it to open access, and citations, let's say at least one citation, so it's not a total dot. Actually, that might prevent some of the newest stuff from being, okay, so let's just not put anything in there. Oh, it says minimum one anyway, so that's good. And we could also say like we just want systematic reviews and whatnot. It just got like all these neat little features. Anyway, so if I hit the button here and then we time this and just see kind of how quickly we get some of these results. So again, if you have a specialized search engine that just kind of gives you this stuff, it is much quicker than what's happening here. They're still researching. Actually, they're not. So Gemini is done. O3 Mini is still reasoning around. It's got 14 resources. And keep in mind, we started the deep research on O3 Mini before we started Gemini. And Gemini is already done. So Gemini, and the thing is, like, you got to just see the difference here, right? Like, essentially, they give us a little article that's written for us. And then it has these little sources in there that you can then add, and you have those little 1, 2, 3. You have those little things up here. So if you're, let's say, you're writing a grant proposal or something, this might be actually quite helpful. Whereas here, you just get the sources, but you get the nice overview, which I really like about Consensus. So you get the overview, and it gets the key impacts, and you could still write an article about this. Would just be a little bit more work turning this research into an article, right? Because you get increased migration due to climate shocks, and then you get your 2 references, and you can click on those. And of course, with these specialized tools, the nice thing is you get like, okay, this is highly cited. It's a systematic review. We can get a little data table, right? Like we get like all these nice little things in here. So that's cool if you're a researcher and you actually really want to work with some of the data in the papers. Super awesome to do that quickly with a specialized tool. But, you know, if we're just already paying for our Gemini or ChatGPT subscription, then we're just going to do it like this. And one of the things I really love about the Gemini tools is if it does something like that, you just click a button and open it in Google Docs. And then just got to wait for a hot second here. And then we got our article that's pretty much ready to go. And it's got a little reference list here. Now, the references are weird because it will just find the URL of the website there, right? So that's the downside, I guess. I could just share this with Wooger and yeah, I can get you in here, send it to you. And then within seconds, Wooger has access to this article and we can write it together. and that's kind of cool. If we were to write like a grant draft quickly, you know, we'd have a draft for this grant on the impact of climate change on global migration. And then start editing it, and we could, of course, you know, then we could pop in plugins like PaperPile or other stuff. You can see I have Zotero, PaperPile, and other extensions here. PaperPal, Procrest, SmartCite. I've got like all of the citations available here. So I do really like PaperPile. So let me just show you quickly how that would work. Then we click on one of these articles. This looks pretty good. This looks like a regular article though. Yeah. Is this a research article? No. Is it? No, it doesn't seem. This is just.
It has some sources, but.
Does it have a DOI? Is it peer reviewed?
No.
Here, this is part of a journal-ish thing, maybe. Yeah. Doesn't look peer reviewed. Okay. So this looks just like a report. This one here, we know PubMed. That's got to be a research article. Great. So here we can find a DOI, hopefully. Yeah, we got the DOI right here. DOI, the digital object identifier, is what you always want to have in peer-reviewed articles. We pop it in here. We go back to our thing. we see where number 3 was cited, hopefully. It's gonna do Control F4, 3. There it is. Right here it was cited.
Yes.
So what I would do then, I'd pop into my paper pal, I'd pop in the DOI, and it finds it. Nice, add citation, and we're done here. Citation in there, boom. Scroll all the way down.
And can you also select the citation style?
Yes, you can do all of that.
Different styles, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in here, and then you can format. Oh, authorize. Yeah, okay, fine. Review permissions. Authorize everything, just will you?
So, okay.
Yeah, okay. So now we could citation style, and then we could say APA is my default style here, and we can always include the DOIs and whatnot. And then we could also say we want APA 7th, not the. Oh,
or does it have Oscola from? I usually use Oscola, for example.
How do you spell that? Oscola?
Oscola, without H.
Oh.
Without H, Oscola, yes. C.
Oh,
yeah,
there.
That's
legal.
That's
nice.
Yeah.
Boom. There it is. Update. And then we just have to add the references here, because right now we just have the default ones in here. References. Oh, this is okay. Let's just do. No, delete the link, will you?
Then right next to the pen there, I think. Yeah, that should be no.
No, I think it's just a weird. Oh, yeah. Let's just delete all the citation formatting. There we go. You are right. Okay, so then what we would do here is references, boom, header that. Okay, good enough. And then what we would do is paper pile that and insert. No, where is it? Somewhere it was like insert citations, view all references.
So based on the DOI number, you mean, yes?
Yeah, no, usually.
Maybe
I gotta look it up again. But usually what you do is you just...
The insert citation, what does that mean there?
That just is a regular citation. So that's what we did earlier.
Okay.
I actually wonder if it already put it somewhere. Can't really see it anywhere.
Yes, it is under in the first page after the factors. I mean...
Yeah, so it is in there. And then we would just try to... export it in here. Okay, I got to look that up again. It's somewhere is a button where you can just have the references in there. Format citation.
You mean the same references to drag here, or?
Yeah. So then it would just basically, yeah. Here we go. I just had to format it. So then it just outputs at the very end of the document. It outputs the references. So I guess I just had to hit format citations, and then it does the proper formatting. And now it's got the OScholar formatting. I don't know if that's correct. You let me know. But now it pretty much has your citation up here. Oh, weird.
Yeah. And then you can...
Is that how it's formatted in the text?
The style, the name, the article, the style is, yeah, looks good.
Huh. Okay.
Style looks good.
Okay.
But you don't have it like after each sentence, that like the full citations, you don't add right in the text, but
okay,
maybe
so probably
maybe it should be in the footnote there. That's why it puts it in the text there.
Probably, yeah. So we just kind of probably have to do some finagling with the formatting here, or we could just do it through Zotero as well. But yeah, then you basically have your document ready to go. You can quickly put it together. Oh, exactly. Look, ChatGPT 3 Mini has finished with deep research. And so the thing about, and you can already see it. Wow, man. And this is every time I run this, I'm just surprised on the depth of the thing. So while this was nice, let's just do a quick check on our Google Doc here and like do the word count. No, not feedback. I need the word count. Is it here? Tools. Word count. Here we go. So we got 1,778 words. Okay, so that's what we got from. Let's just open a new file. Giggles. So that was what we got from here. Now let's. This is just nuts. Okay, let's copy all of this in our new doc here. let's call it legal climate 03 deep research report. Okay, I'm gonna share that with you as well, so you can pop in there. Boom, share. Okay. So putting that in here and then looking at the word count, 6,495 words. Whatchamacallit? Okay, that's substantial. That's almost a research paper. Research papers are 8,000 words. Holy guacamole. Okay. Like, let's just, and of course we can like delete the flavor text.
And a couple of days ago, maybe two days ago, Ethan Mollick shared like 30 pages of research. So he asked the question.
Generated with deep research?
Yes, with the deep research of the ChatGPT, he just managed to get 30 pages of.
Well, you can of course tell it, like we didn't tell it, right? So it just kind of went off about it, but we could be like, this is a report that needs to at least have 8,000 words or something like that, right? Like literally, if we specified that in the prompt here at the beginning, we could do that, and then we would have that. It's just
of course we should say that, yeah, I am we cannot just blindly accept that all what is written here maybe, but I am sure that we can find a lot of nice sources there, very nice text there, so that could be a enormously very well designed starting point. If you just have with one sentence, now we have 6,000 words kind of.
Yeah.
So that is I think who complain a lot that I have many ideas on my mind, but I don't know where to start, what to do, what to read.
Yeah.
This I think definitely could be a really nice start. That is, and I don't know, do you believe that, like, if you in the future, if you give the full access, like ChatGPT, to all relevant articles in your field and ask it a question and give it like 1 hour or 2 hours, and then in 2 hours it just write a dissertation for you, will it be possible?
That's the question, right? Like, I think that's what we all want to try. Like, can it actually write a dissertation from scratch? I think that's like a challenge worth doing. I think like in the summer, the models are going to be updated. I'm going to take out a day of my time. I'm going to just sit down with a challenge and like, can it write a dissertation? How good is it going to be? The thing that I see though, and like you will always see that when you're going through it, is it like the sources are nice, but they are usually kind of randomly picked. So this is something that bugs me a lot about the deep research models. Specifically, if I ask it to do something in my field, and then I'm not cited, or like some of my stuff is like, I would definitely say like, this was a paper I invested a lot of time in that should definitely be cited by this. But the thing is, because again, it prefers archive, semantic scholar, it prefers all of these open access articles. This is also interesting for you as a scholar, like stuff like ResearchGate and Academia EDU, which are kind of annoying as they are as like little repositories, are starting to become super important because the AI crawls these websites, right? So just having your paper sit behind a paywall thing somewhere is not going to do it that kind of justice so that it gets indexed. So you definitely want to make sure to have a PDF version of the paper up on Semantic Scholar if you want to get cited. And that's a little, like, that's worrying me a little bit because, again, let me just change our view here a little bit.
I think we live like in a period, very short period, where we can say that the purely human created texts are coming to an end.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with you.
The text, I think, from today or from this year, already from last year, the text will appear in legal articles, in different websites. Most of them will be at least touched upon by different AI tools. Maybe if you use AI, checking grammar, if you use for different purposes, but definitely AI will be included in the process of creation,
Yeah.
but that text will also be read by the AI agents as well. So like you create with the help of AI, but you will also read with the help of AI. So AI will be included in both phases of the creation and reading.
Yeah.
And then, so that is, of course, time-wise, definitely. So that's why many call that definitely you should consider that most of your text you are writing today will be read by the AI agents as well,
Yeah.
because I am sure that many will not just read the whole text alone. So why you should do that if it is possible to just quickly skim and ask questions to your PDF and then get the answer you want. Of course, if you want to deeply specialize in a certain field, it will still be case to read and to dive into the details of any text you read, which I, for example, as a PhD, I try. So there are articles that I have to read from every single word I have to read.
Yeah.
But will that be necessary anymore? I'm not 100% sure. It depends on the person,
Yeah.
because I think we are in the phase, like you and me, we are in the transition period, but the generations, for example, the new students, the junior students at the first years who just start their studies with the help of, and right in the beginning they have AI, so their approach and everything will be different to everything.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So that's really the interesting development that we're seeing here, right? So we already know how to do research and how to distinguish the quality of sources. AI just kind of pulls it out of this giant pile of available sources, I think, without any quality weighting that's done with it. And so this is also interesting because for us as peer reviewers or grant reviewers, the job will now be more not in just kind of checking, okay, they've actually, for grants, maybe it's less important because grants is really more like, do you actually do something that's valuable for the funder's goal? And then the idea really is, do you know your stuff a little bit? So like a little bit of references I usually find. So I see a tool like this definitely be super interesting and important when it comes to writing a grant proposal. I don't think it's like a paper writing tool yet, although, like you said, it's probably really good at drafting and getting through the early stages there with it. But the weighting of the quality for each reference is not there yet, so that is definitely something that we need to get better at, and the tool needs to get better at for this to actually work out really well. And I think that's the trick. And for us, I think that's also kind of something where we really have to evaluate quality here over time, as well as these
exactly.
better. I mean, that's part of why we did this AI Research Tools webinar, and it's also part of why we want to update it for the most recent models, because it's now a year old. So much has happened since then. So we want to, add more stuff for all the paying subscribers and customers in there. Yeah.
But I think more field-oriented AI agents will appear. Like I can give you one example from the field of law that I am trying to research.
Yeah.
There's an AI tool like Harvey. They now have a very dedicated, let's say, service where you can purchase it to talk with the AI tool, to consult it, which is concentrated only on the judgments of the, for example, Court of Justice of the European Union. So they trained that specific AI with the judgments. Like you give the facts, you ask the questions, and you get answers based on. I think instead of having AGI, maybe we will have, but more dedicated, like very narrowly dedicated AI agents will be more valuable. So that this AI tool is now focused only on the case law, for example, of only this court. Then I think that will change a lot of things, and this is already happening, and so it is definitely. But I would like to ask one quick question about DeepSeek. So I don't use it because I tried to ask a question. It has some restrictions. I mean, political restrictions in it. Like you don't have you cannot ask question tiamnenan, like I think it's so if you ask that question, it doesn't answer your question. It says something, but it doesn't answer your question. So but I talked a couple of days ago to one of my friends who lives in Brussels, in what is everything happening. So OpenAI is very active in that city in order to persuade the European Commission and everything that we are not stealing your data. But he said me that the OpenAI doesn't openly say from where does it get its data. But now it starts complaining that someone steals its data. It sounds funny in terms of the legal point of view. So they don't have very strong footing there. So because right in the beginning they never declared which data pools they have for their models, but now they are. This is getting a bit strange for me, in terms of openness. And for example, if you are like writing a patent, if you are a patent lawyer and you are writing a patent and you are going to register, and you never know where does if you don't know where your data goes. For example, if I would be a patent lawyer, I wouldn't use ChatGPT or other tools, because that takes some time. For example, the registration of the patent, and it should be novel, and you don't know if you feed the OpenAI, for example, with the data, and somehow it gets the hands of the registration body, and then your idea is not more novel. So I am just speculating now, but it can happen. It can happen, and that's why I have like privacy concerns always, and also novelty concerns in terms of like if you are doing a serious academic work. I don't say that if you are writing an assignment essay for just one course, that's okay, because you are not going to develop something new or to invent something new. You just until I think LLM, so master level and the until PhD level, everything fine. Although there are many PhDs who doesn't do anything novel, just comparison, for example, it's still okay. But if you are just trying to create novelty, that is a bit different. That is a bit, I think we should be more careful. And of course, so you cannot blindly just copy paste what we just created here and copy paste and put and submit as your own. It is, again, it's not your own. So we started the conversation, we asked the question, but with only simple one question. But it is always very nice start, because as I said, it is really hard to start where to start. This question, for example, I spent 2 of my PhD years in order to find a very nice topic, the correct one, and designing my research question, designing my proper research questions, because I started before the dawn of the ChatGPT, 4 or 5 years ago already. I'm finalizing it now, but now it is very easy to do that. Structuring your research and doing all that stuff is very easy, but we should definitely we should have our concerns about the privacy issue, and as I said, with the novelty issues. So, and I think more dedicated, narrowly focused AI agents will be more safer, because they will come like securities. They will, I don't know, maybe encryptions. Maybe there will be some special tool, like as I said, for the patent lawyers, and so they can use it, and they will only get the real sources, like not the guy who in the United States just copy paste the ChatGPT generated case law and submit it to the court and fined for that. So that's it. I think we covered a lot, and I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful to you, because what you have done today is like a very mini webinar, mini free webinar comparison all ChatGPT, Gemini, and also including consensus. That was definitely nice, Leonard.
Yeah. So we actually wrote. This is interesting because we just wrote a paper about this, which we just put on archive yesterday. which is exactly about those risks and dangers, if you want, where we looked at AI incident reporting. And so the paper is called "Who's Responsible When AI Fails: Mapping Causes, Entities, and Consequences of AI Privacy and Ethical Incidents." And so my postdoc and my PhD student both did this huge research on an incident database and looked at what actually happens there, what kind of incidents get reported, and found that most incidents happened during the application rather than the development phase, and that fake content generation is really the biggest issue of incidents that are being reported. Now, the like fake content, like what is fake content, right? Like a lot of us generate content online or whatever with the help of GPTs and LLMs, and so like what does it actually mean? I think in this case, a lot of it actually has harm and impact on people. That's why the incidents are being reported, and that people are not actually complying with legal frameworks of the countries that they're in. So this is also interesting because this is not just technical AI failures, but it's ethical legal failures that are happening and that expose victims or make lives harder for investigators. And there's really almost very little corrective action. Only 37% of incidents really got some meaningful fixes or some sort of penalties. So given that it's not really being enforced in terms of like what can be corrected here, there is a big risk. And specifically what we talk about in the article is that children are disproportionately targeted, also like in the reporting, of course, in these harmful incidents, but the policies are really not covering children yet. So it's not a biggie if we do it at our age and in like a very mild, harmless sort of academic context. But when some of this stuff is being used for bullying children or creating content that puts anyone at risk, it is quite problematic. And this is kind of at the heart of what we analyze in this paper. So check it out. It's called "Who is Responsible When AI Fails?" Google it on Google Scholar or find it on Archive.
Maybe we can discuss it even our next session. We can discuss it as well. The whole article.
Yeah, we could.
It is really important issue because we cannot always, I think, talk about. But I must say one thing as well. So this is our today's approach. We are biased by our own past, by our own values, which we think today they look valuable to us.
Yeah.
But maybe what are valuable today, maybe not that be valued after many technological developments. But so that's why we should also mention that what we are talking right now, we think that from academic point of view, from academic integrity, we believe that they are correct for today, but maybe they will change because maybe the policy will change. Maybe our whole approach to the reading, to the analyzing, to the writing change. So if that change, I think our values and approaches could also change. We cannot exclude that option. Exclude that option.
It's a weird time because I think there's a lot of change afoot in society and in education specifically. That we really got to be aware of and prepare ourselves.
Because I've read articles, various students, like secondary school students, asking even like a very simple question to the ChatGPT and just copy pasting the answers of it and without giving a second thought to it. So that I find it a bit, detrimental. I would say, yes, to the. So, but is it really? Because we have done it for many years like that way, and we think that is the right way to do. But are we creating new ways which will eventually change our values as well? We will see that. But I think we are definitely living in a very kind of transformation and transition period. We have done a lot. I think your and my generation, like from analog to the digital, and again, now AI is here.
It's definitely interesting, yeah.
We are passing through so many, phases, that stages of the technological development so fast, And then you see that the models of the names of the models, I'm already confused. There's so many O1, O3, O3 mini, and even the names of the Gemini are so long I cannot even remember them.
Yeah, and you know the joke with the O2, because the O2 mobile phone company in the UK, that's why it's called O3, because they couldn't get the license for the O2 name. I think that's just ridiculous.
Here in Germany also, O2 can do is O2 is the one of the main operators, and maybe that's interesting. But let's see. So I think we can wrap up here. So if you want to check our webinar, you can scan that code.
Yes, definitely. Go to our webinar, check this out. We'll put it up on screen one more time. Would love to see you there. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see you again in the next episode of the podcast.
And I think for those who are just listening as a podcast, they should definitely at least for today's session, they should definitely check either your channel or mine, because without seeing what is happening on the screen, it would be a bit weird for today's session.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come and check us out on YouTube. All right.
Yeah.